Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. You've got as your two hosts and facilitators today, myself, Dave Savage, founder of Mortgage Coach, and Todd Bookspan, Building Champions Coach, former top loan officer, and founder of Win by Noon. What's up, Todd?
Hey, not much. We're just laughing here behind the scenes, so we're glad you guys could all join the party this morning.
Well, just so everybody knows what we're laughing about, Todd and we're laughing at ourselves because I always wear black shirts, and he's kind of following along and always wearing black shirt. Although he's always got a Win by Noon logo on it. So, anyways, so welcome to the call. This call, I think it's just going to be Todd and I as the leaders of facilitators, but we're going to be looking for some engagement and interaction from folks on this call. So, if you have questions, it's going to be a great call to raise your hand and help drive the topics of today. And if you just have a success story to share or something that you've gotten from the community that you think would make a great conversation, we'd love for you to raise your hand. Or if you don't want to be unmuted and actually join the call, you can always post a question or make a comment in the call. Todd, anything you want to say before I start going through our Facebook group and just grabbing topics?
No, I mean, I think this type of day is great for us, right? Dave and I try to do them, every 6 weeks or so we can kind of just dig in with you guys and dig in with what's going on the Facebook private group. And so let's take it away, Dave.
All right. So I'm going to start sharing the group. So if you were not paying attention to the computer, it's time to look at the computer, put your mobile phone down, and follow along with Todd and I. Before I go through the group, I do want to make a quick announcement that we're going to be changing the way that we broadcast this, going from Go to Webinar to Zoom. So next week, if you want to join this call live, you will need to sign up for the Zoom link. It will be in this group, this Facebook group, by, I'll just say Monday. I might get it in there today, might get it in sometime Monday. But if you do want to be on this call on a weekly basis, you'll need to sign up for the group. It will get added to our calendar, so it will also be available from the Mortgage Coach calendar to get the new link. But I do want to let everybody know that you signed up through GoToWebinar to come to this Friday call. That won't work next week. You're going to need to use Zoom, and it will be in the group. Hey, Todd, could you confirm that you can see what I'm scrolling through?
I see your screen.
Okay. Well, I'm not necessarily going to talk about every single post, but I do want to comment for Bliss. First of all, Bliss, great job. You are just a tremendous leader and contributor in this community. An hour ago, she looking for an idea to send a refi client. So Bliss, you came to the right place. You asked the right question to the best of the best. Let's see what comes up there. Anything you want to add to that one, Todd? By the way, I'm going to give that one a like. I like that, Bliss.
I commented on it, and Bliss is here too, so she can raise her hand if she wants to chat about it. But I love the idea that she's thinking, refi, presence, and we've had a couple threads in here previously on really just about everything now, but on closing gifts, and for us it was always food, and I think there's pros and cons to it. It would always annoy me because we would send out surveys and they'd be like, "Thanks for the brownies." We always got rave reviews for the brownies. I was like, all right, well, what about the service? But we always got great reviews because we had sent food, but it also disappears, right? So there's certainly other gifts out there, I think, that live on in perpetuity when, whether it's the Cutco knife or it's the doormat outside of their door, there's other gifts that I see people use that will remind them of who you are for a little bit longer. And so I think that's probably the flip side to that suggestion. But I always think it's just good when we get fresh ideas in here. And the advantage of a new post around something that we may have chatted about before is it brings in all these new members, because I think we did hit a milestone for members today, right, Dave?
We did. And before I go to that milestone, I did want to remind folks, if you wanted to see some of the past conversations we've had around gifts, you could just go to this little search field right here, type in gift, and it will pull up the threads, the documents. I've even done some interviews with Tim Brahim and other top loan officers around milestone gifts during the transaction, closing gifts. So, just remember, use the search feature if you want to find some of that stuff. And then, yeah, that is an announcement. Hey, we have an incredible community, and we hit 3,000 members just about an hour ago. Richie Cordova, welcome to the community. You were the 3,000th member to become part of this community. And I think what's cool about this is we haven't advertised this community. I mean, this has been a word of mouth community. We promoted it in the Mortgage Coach calls. We haven't even really just like pushed it hard via email to our membership. You know, it's been one of those communities that it started when Todd and I started doing Insane Productivity with Darren Hardy. And then we just decided, hey, every Friday we're going to mastermind as a community around how to make more fun, how to make more money and have more fun and be more productive. And it's turned into 3,000 opt-in Facebook members. So hopefully we'll hit 5,000 by the end of the year. Although we don't plan to put marketing dollars behind it and advertise it, we want it to be something that's organic with, you know, the right type of loan officer asking the right type of questions. So anything you want to add to that, Todd, before I move on to the next thing here?
No, I mean, I think it's, you know, Dave and I talk about all the time how grateful we are for everyone who's in here, because the conversation has just gotten so good in here every day to see all these new faces and everyone in there. So, you know, you guys know it. You can add someone up on the right side there. So if you have any other friends that you think should be a member of the group, you know, make sure to add them. We do have some realtors in there. They seem to be kind of quiet in the group, but I do love hearing some of the stories about the realtors that are part of the group interacting with all of you. So that's pretty cool too. I still see it being primarily a mortgage group for the long haul, because then we can talk about realtors here behind their backs. But nonetheless, I love the fact that they're also part of our community as well. So, you know, certainly if you know any rock star realtors that you think could add value, invite them. If you don't, maybe then don't invite them.
Right on. I did want to shine a light on this post I did on the 18th. And at Mortgage Coach, we have been thinking more and more about how can we add value to new loan officers entering the space. You know, we feel that the total cost analysis is not only a massive advantage for the seasoned pro. I mean, it could be the difference between making it and not making it in this business for the new loan officer. And we also think the community and the YouTube channel is just a massive value. I mean, I only wish this community was available and this YouTube channel was available when I was a new loan officer. So we have a lot of new people coming in. We have a lot of new people getting value from Mortgage Coach, but we want to be more intentional. We want to like create some training that's just incredibly on point for a loan officer who's in their first year in the business. Not to say that a seasoned pro wouldn't get value from that, but I want it to be very on point for the new LO. So I do have two asks for this. One, you know, if you like the idea, let us know, because it will help us prioritize it at Mortgage Coach. Like, is this a top 3 priority? Is this like one of 10 priorities? The more likes will drive how we invest in that at Mortgage Coach. And then I would say almost more important, because I think we've got enough likes and we've had enough people ask that it's a pretty high priority, but suggestions on what content to put into that. You know, if there are specific scripts that you want, let us know. If there's specific topics that you want, let us know. Because as we craft the training and the content for the new loan officer, we want that to come from you. So please comment with ideas, you know, specific questions, specific topics. Anything for you, Todd, on this one?
Nope, I'm just making some notes for a conversation for you and I later, because I definitely think it's such an opportunity, right? We know the average age is in the mid-50s right now for loan officers and realtors. And so anything that we can do to help the new loan officers stick in the business, you know, I think it's going to be an interesting year for the newbies. And, you know, I do love seeing some of the leaders I'm seeing on the call today who I know are doing a great job in their organizations of helping drive it. So, yeah, let's circle on that. I would love to see what you guys have to say on it, because I certainly have some opinions.
Okay, so Todd and I are going to talk for 6 more minutes up to about 9:15, and then we're going to go into the Q&A. We're going to try to raise some hands, and we're going to ask questions. So please, let's have a line of people waiting for the mic. So 6 more minutes. I want to shine a light on this post from David 16 hours ago. First of all, David, if you're on this call, Knuckles, buddy, you know, great job. You know, I mean, this is obviously someone that's listening and someone that's taking action. You know, I love this. Hey, I watched some of the calls. I made 15 to 20 realtor calls. By the way, I asked everybody on this call, did you make 15 or 20 realtor calls this week? If not, you should have. So David, great job on that. has a few appointments. You can tell he's tuned in. He's following the Jeremy Forcier 5-question scripts. You know, my call this Tuesday with Jen Duplessis, we had both Jen and Dan Keller providing scripting and questions for a realtor meeting. So I would just tell you, whether you're new in the business or whether you're a complete seasoned pro, we just crushed it for you. You know, between Jeremy's 5 questions, Dan Keller's 5 questions, Jen Duplessis' 5 questions, you are ready to go in and crush it with realtor meetings. So my ask to the community is, I'd love to see more Davids. You know, if someone else is paying attention and you made 10 or more realtor calls and you had some success, tell us about it. And by the way, if you made 10 or 20 calls and you didn't have some success and you need some help, tell us about that. Todd, anything on this one before we move on to the next?
A couple things is David's on the call, so maybe he'll raise his hand and let us empower him a little bit later. But I think the biggest thing that I guess I was so appreciative of is that he shut his door, said he wasn't leaving till he got 2 appointments. And then I asked him how long. He said it took him 4 hours. I mean, that's a serious commitment. And, you know, one of the things that I took away recently, Gary Vee made a comment to your actions reflect your ambitions, right? And so I talk to loan officers all the time who tell me, oh yeah, I need to get 2 appointments every week, but they don't actually take the action to do it. And so I think as a, you know, from a coaching perspective, you know, you have to decide, I mean, is my desire that high that I'm willing to actually shut my door and not come out until I get the appointments? And I just think that that's kind of lacking a little bit right now. I don't, you know, someone told me the other day I was talking to her, and she said that she feels like she's in the zombie apocalypse when she talks to loan officers, because they all say one thing and then they do something different. They're not actually taking that action. And so I love that about the community. I love seeing people share in there, right? I love that David shared a script. It was super simple. I mean, it wasn't like he sat there for hours and wrote out a 2-page script. It's, you know, 2-sentence script, and it's effective. You just have to take the action to do it. And my guess is that the other challenge people have is knowing who to call, right? You've got to have a call list prepared. And, you know, again, I have clients all the time who challenge me on it, right? I say Thursdays is your day to call your realtors. And so I did 3 weeks ago, I spent 2 hours. So that wasn't, you know, 4 hours. I don't have what David has, but I spent 2 hours on a Thursday calling people from the Win by Noon community. And I just said, hey, I'm going to dial along like I tell loan officers to dial, and see what my results were. So I spent 2 hours dialing. I reached out to 20 people on the phone, 1 person via text. I ended up setting 8 appointments in that time frame. I talked to 10 people. My average call was just shy of 9 minutes. And then I still was able to crank through all those different connections, right? Had all those quality conversations, but I went in really prepared with a list of who I was going to talk to. And it was really, they were just gratitude calls. And, you know, people are always surprised when they hear about someone who just called to say thank you. But I would just be thinking through, you know, is there a lesson that you can learn from David? Is that something you need to do? And if so, then schedule the time. And if you're like, well, I don't have 4 hours. Well, hey, do you have an hour times 4? Can you do it 4 different times during the week? I would recommend compartmentalizing it into one theme day, because you're more consistent when you do that. If you say, I'll do it at one time, and it's just a lot more efficient to make all those calls. Your script is going to get better each call that you do. And I think you guys all have it in you. If you want to grow your business, you know, take a tip from David and let's do it. I'd love to see some more commentary on it in there.
Yeah, great job, David. And please keep telling us, keep us updated on your story. And by the way, I'm going to unmute you at some point today, so hopefully you're ready for that. So Todd, if you could do me a favor, because I want to stay on page, but if you could post this question to the community: what is holding you back, or what is your biggest challenge to getting more meetings with realtors? I would just love, my guess is that 70% of the folks on this call, you're not achieving your goals. Like, you have a goal of how many realtors you should be meeting with a week, a month, and you're not hitting it. So with that assumption in mind, Todd, if you could post that question and let Todd and I know what is holding you back. And while we may not, you know, get to that in today's call, it will help us with future calls, and it'll just create a great conversation. So Todd, if you don't mind doing that. And then Marcy, I have an ask for you in this particular thread. If you could make sure you put a link to Jeremy Forcier's most recent interview. It's called Working Harder and Smarter with Jeremy Forcier. The last, I don't know, 4 minutes of that call he gives scripting on how to get meetings with realtors. You know, it was like I talked about a lot of things in that call, but the closing question was, what's it sound like when you cold call a realtor? And he talked about, hey, yeah, there's some scripting and things that I say, but it's like jab, jab, right hook, and I think he used the word counterpunch. I'm just counterpunching. And so listen to that call. It will help you be more effective with your realtor reach outs. All right, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, but I have confirmed Robert Stover for this Tuesday, 9 o'clock. It is just gonna be a jam session. And it's gonna be all about marketing headlines. So part of the reason why I put this on the list is we're currently working on the referral magnet video contest, where I'm gonna pick 2 winners on May 1st of videos that you would put in Facebook that would, the only really criteria is that a borrower would call you and say, I want my total cost analysis. So the total cost analysis is the right hook. So I'm going to be brainstorming. Think of this as just a marketing lab. Robert Stover is a very expensive, very in-demand marketing consultant. And he's going to spend an hour and we're just going to riff and we're going to find great headlines, great hooks, great marketing strategies. So come to this call and come to it prepared. Come to it with, hey, I've got this marketing message. This is my goal. This is my headline. What do you think, Stover? And he'll be the Simon Cowell. He'll give you straight feedback. This is what I think. And by the way, this is how you can be better. So think of this Tuesday as just a marketing jam session to, as a community, brainstorm, write hooks and headlines. Todd, anything you want to say about this?
No, I love the videos I've already seen in the community. I love the fact that people are giving feedback. And I know everyone's fear is, well, it's not going to be very good, but the only way you're going to get better is to do it, right? And so I just think you guys have an opportunity to get some of the best people to give advice. And yeah, Bill Hillstead put up a 10-minute how-to video. So certainly if you're wondering, well, how do I do it? He's got that opportunity there. And I think in the end, these are the things that are going to differentiate people in 2018. And, I know you guys think about these things. I just want you guys to execute on them. That seems to be, I'm kind of stuck on that rant today, so I apologize, but I'm all about execution right now. And I just think that a lot of us, myself included, spend time talking about it, thinking about it, and procrastinating about it. So let's get it done. Love this post. This was actually probably my other favorite post beside David's post, although I have to say his probably is my favorite, but this would be my second favorite post. Very close second.
And by the way, everybody, we haven't even got through 24 hours of the community. We're like in the past 12 hours of the Mortgage Coach community. And I mean, it's just pure gold. We got a success story in the making. We have Liz Logan, who posted a question saying, hey, I want to go door knocking with realtors. By the way, is she a go-getter or what? She's going to go door knocking with realtors and I want some scripting. She threw the question out there. We got Nicole Solari that said, hey, I'll help you. One of the nation's absolute top realtors, closed 200 homes last year. And Jeremy Forcier, one of America's absolute top loan officers. So Liz posts this question and look, she's getting answers. And then Liz, by the way, super grateful for how you're playing it forward. You asked a great question, you got great advice, and now you're sharing it with the community. So I would just say this is my favorite post. Just because of that. There's so many dimensions to what happened here. There's a great new loan officer who's come into the community for help. She's getting help from 2 great leaders, and then she's playing it forward. So there's just a lot going on here, and highly recommend you guys check it out. And if anybody does do any door knocking with realtors, let us know how you're doing. And if you need help, let us know. Todd, I am going to go to the community, but I do want to at least make sure in this call, we shine a light on Scriptpalooza. This is an idea that Todd and I came up with together. Actually, I don't know, Todd, well, first of all, let's not argue whose idea it was. Together.
It was a collaboration.
Together, it was a pure collaboration, but we're both super pumped. We're going to be doing this call. Is it May 2nd, 9 o'clock? We don't know how long it's going to go. Like right now, we've got so many leaders sharing so many scripts that we're like, okay, I mean, it's going to be at least a 2-hour call. So, sign up for this. I believe that this will be one of the all-time greatest mortgage coach educational events that will have over 1,000 people on it. It'll get watched thousands and thousands of times, and it will drive huge value. Couple things, you'll notice that there's two different marketing looks. So this is a joint venture between Mortgage Coach and Win by Noon. And the Win by Noon crew is coming up with some pretty cool creative and marketing that they're promoting. The Mortgage Coach team came up with their creative. We might do a vote at some point. Which creative do you like better? What do you think of that, Todd?
You should not be doing that, Dave. You should not be doing that. We shouldn't be putting our teams against each other.
Well, you know what? Here's the deal. It's funny because I've already done it with my family and I've done it with some friends. And I would say you're in the lead right now. But I've noticed that like the millennials, my kids, they like your design better. And, some of the non-millennials like our design better. I'm still on the fence. But, here's what I do know. I love the idea. And we have two requests for the community. One, we want you to let us know what scripts you want so that we really nail it with giving the scripts that you have. And we also want your help sharing it so it creates maximum impact. So please, when you see this posted, you can't share it within the group, but when you see this posted on my page, Todd's page, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, like it, play it forward. Let's put the force and the networking power of our community together, and let's make this one of the best events we've ever done. Anything you want to say, Todd, before I open up the mic to others?
Well, you can see the Win by Noon version of the flyer on the Win by Noon page on Facebook, and also on my personal page. You're more than welcome to share, but I'd love your comments and feedback. And like Dave said, we want to make this the best for all of you. And the way we make it the best for all of you is by getting your feedback on making sure that we nail those scripts. I mean, we do have, if you look at the 13 people that have already committed to it, we've got some greats on there in the loan officer community, plus our favorite realtor, Nicole Solari, that's volunteered to come on there. So it's really going to be a fabulous call. Maybe I'm overthinking it, Dave, but I actually think truly it could be the number one call of 2018, because I think we're going to take what everyone's asking, right? I think scripts is the biggest reason for the call reluctance piece. And, giving you guys good scripts is going to be magical in my mind. So I think it's going to be an amazing thing. I got a lot of great friends and making some new friends on that call.
Love it. By the way,
that's not bad looking, is it?
I think it's fantastic looking. Here's the Mortgage Coach version. Here's the Win by Noon version. I think they're both fantastic. I love the way your team said, hey, we're going to have this amazing concert of mortgage professionals. And you really kind of designed it around a rock concert. I love it. I love what you guys did. So like I said, we don't care which one you share. Share the one you like the most. And let's make this the best Mortgage Coach event ever. Wait, best Mortgage Coach Win by Noon event ever. So cool.
Well,
so hang on, I'm gonna stop.
We got some great responses here too. Will Rudolph says he's in his 70s and in the business and wants to learn. So love that. And I'm watching. We got some people commenting on the post that you had me put up there about what's your biggest challenge of getting more realtors. So we'll see how that all plays out. We got a couple of questions here too. Should we jump in on any of these real quick before we jump over to other folks?
Well, let's do that. But first, I do want to let you know, I don't see anybody raising their hand. And by the way, I'm going to raise someone's hand. So whether you raise it or whether we give you the opportunity to contribute, we are going to unmic someone in a few minutes. So if you've got a question, you've got something to share, raise your hand in the GoToWebinar. And Todd, you go ahead and start bringing in some of the questions that are in chat.
Well, there's one that I get a lot from Scott Short about using slide dial. So if anyone here is using it a lot with realtors, I can certainly talk from my personal experience and just what I hear out in the coaching world. I mean, slide dial is a great way. We've got people like Rick Shear using it with annual mortgage reviews to get out to clients, and my team had done that in the past. For me, when I'm going after realtors, I never did slide broadcasts to realtors, but I'd love to know if anyone's used it to promote an event or something else. I only ever used it when I was doing my update calls to an agent who I knew might talk my ear off, or if I was super short on time and wanted to make sure I made all of those update calls. But, again, my whole goal in making the calls to realtors is to actually talk to them. And so if that's what your goal is, then obviously a normal phone call will make sense. If it's just to give them information or maybe to kind of spark them to be looking for something that's upcoming, like, hey, I just sent you a book or whatever it is, then maybe slide dial work. But most of the real estate community is kind of onto it, right? I still get some of those calls where I can see, right, says unavailable caller, or maybe shows their phone number real quick and then it zooms straight to voicemail, so that's the only other risk that you run, is they're going to kind of question what you're doing. Any thoughts on that, Dave?
No, I don't have anything to add other than I would just say multi-channel approach. There's no one channel. Email, text, slide dial. Although slide dial is a brand, it's voice, using voice, and then Facebook Messenger. So, multi-channel. I have a question here from Ron. He said, hey, will you post the other videos? He goes, I only know about Jeremy's. I want to hear about those others. So Ron, I'm showing it. Actually, I'm going to pull it up on my screen. I'm showing the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. It is the most recent Tuesday interview. It's this build stronger realtor relationships with Jen. And I also had Dan Keller on that. So that's the call. Also, I want to recommend, if you have a question about a video, post that question in our group. It's like, hey, I'm getting ready to go call on realtors. What are the best scripts? Post it in our group. You'll get the whole community's answers. You'll get my answer. So Ron, I hope I answered your question, but if I didn't and you need it more, post it in the group. I want to go, Todd, I'll ask this question from the community and you'll do the next one. So I just go back and forth. I've got John just said, hey, how do you re-energize yourself after a friend, realtor, or client you've been working with for 2 months says X has a better rate that is a half a point lower than the one that you have? So I mean, at the end of the day, I have been seeing that question a lot, where, people are just getting grinded, maybe more than normal. Folks are losing loans. There was actually a thread in our community about this recently. I actually didn't chime in and answer it, but I'm going to kind of paraphrase some of the advice, then I'm going to add my advice to it. And some of the advice was, you know what? Take your jabs, take your right hook, do a counter punch, and then you know what? Let it go. Have a short-term memory. My son is a lacrosse player, and while he wins more than he loses. And what's my advice to him? Short-term memory. Next, did you practice? Did you do your best? Are you pleased with your performance and how you showed up? And if you did and you lost, next. So the only time I think you need to beat yourself up is if you are doing your post-mortem and you're like, well, I didn't do a total cost analysis. I didn't ask the great questions. I kind of winged it. When I had the meeting with him, I wasn't as present as I could have been. Oh, I really didn't ask him about his goals. I was just being a loan officer. I didn't ask. I really don't know what that person's 3-year or 5-year goals are. Okay, beat yourself up. You lost that loan. Make sure that the next time you know what the long-term goals are of the client. You delivered the total cost analysis. You gave him left hook, right hook, counter punch. Again, if you gave your best, move on and don't worry about it. So that's my thought. That's my advice. John, I hope that's constructive. If you did it all right and you lost it, that's just the way it is nowadays. Todd, what are your thoughts?
You're 100% correct. It's all about that mindset. It was interesting. I actually had coffee with a realtor on Monday, and he said, well, I just finally decided that I needed to build a bigger pipeline. So when I did lose a deal like that I wasn't stressed out about it. I wasn't as emotionally committed. I think it's a friend, and then it gets a little bit offensive maybe, but in the end, right, I always tell people I'm super cheap, right? I mean, they say you're supposed to say frugal, but I'm cheap. And so, at some point, I'm always willing to pay a little bit more for advice, but if there's a huge gap, people aren't going to be, and then you just have to move on. And so I just say, fill your pipeline so it's less stressful, right? Where I find loan officers get more attached to it, more upset by it, is because they only have a couple of loans and they really need it to close. And so, I know that sounds bad and no hate mail because of it,
Marcy,
but I just think build a bigger pipeline.
Hey, Marcy, Todd was kind of going in and out. Was that just me, or was Todd going in and out? Oh,
Marcy's our Wizard of Oz, by the way. She's behind the scenes. So I will maybe I won't jump up and down so much. I'm getting really excited today.
Yeah, it's all good, brother. Hey, by the way, community, great job on all the the questions and comments. Love it. John just asked, hey, I got a conflict at noon. I guess you're back east, John. Calls at 9. Yeah, it will be recorded. Scriptpalooza will be recorded. By the way, all of our calls are recorded and they're all uploaded into the YouTube channel same day. So FYI on that. Scott Short just said, scripting for when a realtor says, give me a referral before I'll give you one. So I'm going to wing it. Todd, I'm going to pass this to you in a minute. So, I don't think there's a script for that. I think a lot of it just has to do with, the relationship you're building, where are you at in that relationship. I think also it has to do with who is that agent. If that is major baller agent that's literally one of your top 10 dream clients, maybe I came to the meeting with a referral, so they didn't even have to ask for it. So I think it has to do with who are they, what are they doing, how booked are you? Do you have referrals? Do you have an engine so that, you do an annual review so that you have a lot of referrals to come? And it's an easy ask, because by the way, my take is if it's an agent that's a dream client and I have a good system in place where I'm generating referrals, the answer is like, yeah, I got a referral for you. Your turn. But I don't know, Todd, what are your thoughts?
I think you're spot on. I'm hearing so much talk about loan officers needing to be self-generating their own leads in 2018. And, people are investing a lot of money in systems to do it. They're buying leads. And I think, you hit the nail on the head. Annual mortgage review is always going to be the best way to do it. And I think that you do need to be thinking through, when you have a referral, how can I strategically use it and sort of decide? I would say 2 things on that. I led a mastermind at Masters Coach back in January or early February in Scottsdale. And we had, 10 leaders in the mortgage space. And I brought in a buddy of mine who Bill Hart coaches, who's a realtor. And he just said, well, the easiest way to get a meeting for me, because I'm kind of untouchable, right? He's got relationships that he has worked with for a long time. But he said, you call me and you got a referral, you got a meeting, I'll give you coffee in order to get your referral, and I'll take great care of that referral. I talked to another gentleman who's a former realtor who's got a product that he wanted me to give him some feedback on yesterday. And he told me that he was always surprised that after he met with loan officers that they didn't follow up the next day and say, it was really great meeting with you, I'd love to work together, is there any chance you have a referral? And he said that the one time that happened after he met with a loan officer, he gave the guy an $800,000 loan. And I thought, well, I don't know that he would give it to everyone. I didn't really challenge him on it, but I think in the end, it's the communication piece with the agent. And then you have to decide. If someone said, hey, well, would you send me a referral? And I don't have one, I have to decide at that point, you know what, I will make a commitment, yes or no, that I'll send you the next one or not. I think that's where, they all want it. We hear about that all the time, and we get frustrated when our best realtors are working with another loan officer on a deal, but they're bringing them the deal. Then I do understand that. I don't know if anyone liked that answer or not, but that's my answer.
I like it. So Norma, I'm going to hit your question. I love your question, Norma. I think a lot of loan officers share this. I'm going to paraphrase rather than read it out loud, but she's saying, hey, one of my realtors is being called on by another lender that's using all these same techniques. Maybe, by the way, maybe they're coming to these calls and they're doing the same things, and what do I do? How do I handle that when I'm competing with another loan officer doing all the same things? So I just give you my answer. Two characteristics that I've had from my early days of the business. We didn't use hashtags when I was young, but it would be never give up, never outworked. That's just me. I'm not going to be outworked by anybody. I'm not going to give up. And so every dream realtor that I wanted, or every dream CPA financial planner, it wasn't about winning a meeting, coming out with a lead, wasn't about converting them in the next 30 days, which by the way, I loved converting a referral partner in 30 days. But I always looked at it as something that I was, 1 year, 2 year. This is someone that I'm going to go after for 3 years until I get their business. By the way, I would tell you, I don't care what tactics or techniques, that if you show up and you have that value, that, hey, you're a dream realtor of mine, it's an essence match, they're doing the right amount of business, they're a cool person that I can see being friends with. If you just come to it as a servant's leader, I'm never going to give up, I'm never going to be outworked, and I'm just going to keep on coming with value, you will win that business. You will have no peers. And by the way, if you do lose out, you'll have so many great prospects. So my advice to you is, Norma, don't worry about like, hey, you're in this boxing match with another lender and you tied in round one, or let's say they beat you in round one. You know what? There's a lot of rounds to this business, and the loan officers that never give up, never outworked, and they do the best practices, you don't have to worry about it. You're either going to win this realtor or you're going to win enough other realtors that this particular real estate agent just doesn't matter. So that's my advice. Todd?
I love it. I agree. It's a long game. It's funny, right? Like literally right after I committed to get out of production and be a coach, I had a builder I'd been pursuing for 3.5 years say, hey, we're ready for you guys to come in. And our team closed $20 million, over $20 million with that builder last year. And so you do have to be in it for the long game on there. And I think competition is tough. I'm talking to people all over the country and people who are in small towns, and normally in the small towns, the realtors only want to work with the small town loan officer, and they're having competition come in from an hour away that's going after their agents. So, the people who are doing what David White did and calling agents are making a push. I mean, that's just what it's going to be. I heard a leader in the mortgage space. I wasn't on this call, but I heard a leader of the mortgage space. It was relayed to me by a very reliable source who talked to his managers, and he was talking to them as well as encouraging them to bring this message to their sales force. And he said, I encourage you guys to work hard right now. This is a tough year. We're seeing markets tighten up, slow inventory, no refis. And he said, you might consider working on the weekend as a loan officer right now. And he said, because my worry is that some people who don't do that now and need to will actually be working weekends later this year as a car salesman. And I thought, ouch, that's really harsh, but it could be true. And so I wouldn't get scared, like Dave said, of the competition, right? You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And as long as you're going after a lot of them, then you're going to get the right ones at the bottom of the funnel.
Love it. So by the way, guys, keep these questions coming, but I also would love for someone to raise their hand. I am kind of getting tired of hearing myself talk, not tired of hearing Todd talk. I can't get enough of Todd with Stan's advice.
Yeah, I'm tired of myself too, so that's okay.
I'm kind of tired of myself. So if you have a question, we'd love to put another voice in the call. Raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, I'm going to raise someone's hand in a minute. Let's go back to the well here. So first of all, Scott Short, bro, it's been an honor knowing you. He said something really nice. He said, hey, I just figured out I've known and benefited from your friendship for 24 years. It's been a long time, man. And anyways, appreciate the nice compliment you gave me, Scott, and I appreciate you, brother. So Charles, I love your question. So Charles asked this question: do you recommend showing MC on the first initial discovery meeting face-to-face with a realtor? So, first of all, I think that is an A move that you should always have in your back pocket. That at the right time, based off of what the realtor says, you are ready to show your sales experience and brag about the fact that, hey, every one of the clients that you refers to me is going to get this total cost analysis experience, and it's going to create clarity, urgency, and conversion. So do I think you should have it ready to go in the first meeting, second meeting, every meeting? But in terms of, I think it's so important that you come into every meeting with, I'm going to ask questions, but it's not about what I want to show them, what I want to tell them. It's about what they want to know and need to know to trust you, respect you, and feel that you are the best person for them to refer business to. So I don't want you to ever go into any meeting saying, this is what I got to do, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and because that's just too me oriented. It's about the realtor. Now, with that said, if it's a real estate agent that doesn't understand that you're unique and different and how you deliver advice, leveraging technology, and if in the course of that conversation the realtor tells you how important communication is, I want you to be effective and efficient with how you communicate. That is a softball to say, oh, communication's important to you. By the way, I got this script from Jeremy Forcier, it's part of his 5 questions interview. It's a great thing to do. But I just urge you, when you're meeting with a realtor, especially for the first time, you're there to get the next meeting. I mean, that's the goal. You're there to, when you walk out of the room, you want them to think, God, that was a cool guy. Wow, that person has extraordinary knowledge. Whoa, that's someone that I believe they have my client's best interest in mind, and they have my best interest in mind. If you can just walk out the door and they're like going, wow, best interest in mind, someone I could trust to do business with, goal. You crushed that meeting. So just be thoughtful about that. Todd?
Yeah, 2 things, and then David White is kind enough to have raised his hand, Dave, so if you want to get ready to unmute him. All I would say is Dave nailed it. I originally had a realtor who I trusted a lot and was willing to mentor me early on say that he was tired of lenders showing up and throwing up all over him. And so the asking questions piece is key. And then it's just having, I think mortgage coach is one, arrow in your quiver, right? One tool in your tool belt. And so as you ask, like Dave said, when they say communication and how do you do it, then you pull that one out and you show it to them. And that's really what that meeting is all about. It's responding to what's important to them and not what's important to you. So let's hear what David has to say, because that sounds like more fun than hearing what we have to say.
I know. By the way, before I unmute you, David, and here you come, it reminded me of an interview. I did it a couple years ago with Realtor Glenn Bill. And, Realtor Glenn Bill is, a 30-year real estate veteran. I mean, he just says it like it is, or at least like it is to him. By the way, I like him and I like everything he thinks. But, regardless, I interviewed him, and it was the title of the call was, what do realtors really think about your marketing? And he actually pulled up samples of emails and messages, and he pulls up a realtor email that he gets in his inbox every day, and he just like, this is what I think when I get it. This is why I delete it. So while it's not completely on point around what to do in a meeting, if you listen to that call, I think it will give you the ammunition to know that it's, give them what they want, give them the value that they want. So check out that interview. Hey, David, thank you for raising your hand, and you have been unmuted. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Dave?
Hey, we're good. We're good. Well, hey, you heard that you're one of my top favorite posts, and you're Todd's favorite post. And you know why I gave you second place. I mean, it's like you had pretty tough competition there. But why don't you give us the update on how things are going for you?
So there is a lot of challenges coming into 2018. I began my loan officer journey in October. I've been a lender for a long time, but I moved to Utah and became a loan officer, and starting from scratch, no connections. I actually came from another country, so I came completely from scratch. So my manager who hired me said, why don't you get onto this mortgage coach community and see if they can help you? And so I did. And it's just been tremendous. And a couple of days ago, I have a lot of realtor connections, but I just don't think that they're as productive as I need them to be. They're not. I have been getting drips and drabs from them, but I just don't feel like I've connected the way I need to connect with them. I've been studying Todd Duncan this year and mortgage coach, and what I found is that the realtor loan officer relationship is very disjointed. And like you were saying before, what are you going to give me and I'm going to give you? But that mindset is not going to be sustainable, at least for me. And so I've come into the conversation saying, just right off the bat, let me be your CRM. How can I fill in a gap in your business?
Well, I love the fact that you're getting clear on what you want to bring to the relationship. And I loved hearing you say something like, that won't be sustainable for me, because that means you're really thinking about the long game. You're thinking about what strategies do I want to bring that are sustainable. You're clearly taking action. So, I mean, I would just say kudos to you, and you're definitely on your way to success. How much time are you working? How much investment of time are you putting in a day in the business right now?
So, well, I come to work. I'm one of the first ones to work every day, and sometimes one of the last. And I know that I need to be prospecting at least 4 hours a day, unless I'm getting some green time. Like today, I'm meeting with one of the realtors that I spoke to yesterday, and he has that expectation. And and I have an interview with a potential customer, and I'm going to do an application after that one. So I just know that as a new, under a year old, I need to spend that large amount of time prospecting, because otherwise I'm just going to, die in the water, I feel.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, 4 hours a day, I always say for your first 18 months, and there may be some loan officers in some markets, and based off of situations that it's 12 months, and it might be 2 years. I mean, I would say if it's not within that frame, you really got to fine tune your effectiveness. Have you created kind of your dream list of the 100 realtors that you in your marketplace that you're going after? Are you clear on who are the 100 realtors you're calling on?
I have no idea who they are when I call them. I have a database that I found online, and I just cold call them. And let me tell you about scripts. First of all, there's been some conversation on the community about what's the best emails and things. And when I first started, because I've done a lot of refinement in my business practice, and I started with emails, getting 0 responses, and I tried different things in different ways. Every single time it comes back to calling and talking to people, whether they be cold calling old customers that are in my database or cold calling realtors. That's the only thing that works. And I figure up and down the Wasatch Front here in Utah and Salt Lake County, there's about 20,000 realtors. So there's going to be a couple out there that's going to be on the same mindset as I am, and I just need to find them, mine them out. That's my mindset.
Yeah, I mean, the only advice I have is I do think you're putting in a lot of hours, you're willing to call anybody. And by the way, don't stop doing that. I mean, call wide, call blind. But I do think you need to put some time into identifying, the 100 based off of success, how much volume they're doing, and really invest in getting a list of 100. Now, I don't want to say stop just calling anyone and everyone, but I would spend 4 to 8 hours over the next 2 to 3 weeks of list refinement and criteria so that you get clear on some agents that you want to do business with. And their productivity is one of them. I mean, I'm not saying they should all be whales. You should probably have a few whales that you're targeting. You should have some mid-tier folks that you're targeting. And hey, you should be betting on some new folks that are up and comers, and just the way that they show up on social, what you hear about them from other people, you could do that. By the way, how many agents do you have right now that trust you enough that they give you referrals? And then Todd, I'm going to hand it off to you for advice and questioning just after this one. But how many, call it friendly realtors do you have so far?
Currently, I have 3 that have given me referrals, and that's why I feel like I don't have enough. I have a deficiency, and I do have other realtors that I associate with, but and I agree with you completely about looking at good productive realtors, because if you're working, because I'm working with one that I'm hoping to be able to develop good things, but she's not a high producer, so she's not able to give me a great deal. We're actually going to do an open together in the next couple of weeks, and we're actually going to be knocking on doors in the next 2 weeks together, which I'm excited about. We've knocked on doors together, but that's one because she's willing to put in work also. But I need those realtors that are seasoned, do have the ability to provide me with either a database to work with or leads coming in. One of my best lead generators, she's about 70 years old, and she might have a year or 2 more in the business, and I said, I'm going to work with you as much as I can, because she knows what she's doing, and if I have her for a year and a half, then kudos to me. I really look forward to that. And I'm working on a loan that she's referred to me this afternoon. But yeah, I agree with you, and thank you, Dave. I do need to ensure that that refinement happens so I can get the best realtors that I possibly can.
Yeah. Well, my last comment, and then to you, Todd, is when you look at your stage where you're at, entry level, if the realtor is doing great volume, that's a realtor that you want to invest in. And by the way, if a realtor is putting in a lot of effort, like they're door knocking, they're doing open houses, they're putting in the hours to get out there and build themselves, connect yourself with them, because it's the people that are going to kill it are the people that are already killing it and the people that are working to kill it. So if you're finding, just because an agent will take a meeting with you, spend time with you, but they either, one, don't have business, and two, they're not putting in the time themselves, I'm not saying walk away, but don't invest your time and energy there, because there are a lot of agents that will talk to anybody and everybody, and you gotta avoid spending too much time there. But Todd, I'll let you ask any questions or any advice that you have so far.
Well, there's a ton of nuggets there. I'll just kind of throw out a couple of thoughts, and then David, I'd love you to say what else can we as a community help you with in your journey, because I love someone who's been in the business for 6 months, who's working that hard and then doing those things, right? Just like Liz in our community, right? The post that Dave liked better than your post, who's going out there and door knocking, right? Putting in the activity to do it. I am talking to a lot of loan officers who, again, they tell me what they're committed to, but they're not working like you're working, right? First in the office, last out. And I'm a big believer that you have to have a life. And, like Dave talking about going to lacrosse with his son, he's like the team dad, and he does all sorts of cool stuff. I want you guys all doing that kind of thing as well. But you're in a season where, whether you're new like David or whether you're experienced like some of these other people who are on the call, you may have to work hard in this type of market to do it. So, but you want to work smarter, not harder. So I love the call block piece that you're doing. What David else can we help you with that, while you've got us live on the call here?
You guys just help me out so much. I can't answer that at this very moment, because if I have any questions, a lot of times I look at an old video, or I look around at the comments, and generally the answers to my questions are already there. And I know that if I have some kind of ad hoc question, I know that I can rely on the community to, just sort of come in and help me out. And I hopefully can be able to help out others, because even though I've been in as a loan officer for 6 months, I've been in lending for about 13 years. And 8 of those were over the phone exclusively, so I know how to talk to people over the phone. But yeah, just if you keep on doing what you're doing, and it's a hard market, and my manager said, 2018 could be a year that weeds out a lot of loan officers. But I just look for the experts. I listen and I learn, and I'm a sponge. I feel like I'm a little kid sometimes, just learning things that I've never known before.
Well, I
love it. I love it. Real quick, hey, Norm, I love your question. Why don't you throw that in the Facebook group, because we won't have time to get that today, but I'd love to see some conversation on it. What were you going to say, Dave?
It's funny. I was going to say the same thing to Norma, but I would just say I absolutely believe in you. I mean, I could just hear you talk. If you keep working hard, if you never give up, you'll kill it. I do believe, I did an interview with David Licken, and he talked about how kind of past 2020 are really going to be some golden years for our industry, because, the combination of how technology is making things more effectively for the loan officers that work hard, that use technology, that are upgrading themselves, I think there is just a tremendous run of success. But I also agree that we are going to weed out some folks in our industry right now, because people need to upgrade how they do business, and both real estate and mortgage. And by the way, that ties nicely into this comment from Scott Short, where he said, hey, I have noticed a lot of real estate agents now that have this mindset of slowing down, not being as aggressive as they need to be. By the way, it's true. I do think that there is a growing population, both in mortgage and real estate, with doing that. But by the way, there's also a growing population of guys like David that are killing it. And Nicole Solari that came into this business and is killing it. So I think everybody on this call, whether you're new or whether you've been doing it forever, you need to look for who's most aggressive, who's using Facebook most aggressively in the marketplace, who's doing the most open houses, who is using modern media, who's got a YouTube channel in your market, who's using LinkedIn aggressively in your market. Look for progressive marketers, both in real estate. We're looking for real estate agents. So in real estate, and go after those folks. So I think there's folks that are like the pot, the frog in the pot of boiling water that aren't jumping out. But if you're in some relationships that either aren't productive, or two, they're not progressive, and the person on the other end of it's not working hard, again, don't delete them, don't burn a bridge, but go out there and prioritize your time around people that are, either killing it or they look like they're going to be killing it. It is. Todd, we got 4 minutes left. Any other questions for David or any other thoughts before we go into wrap up mode?
I just want to say thanks, David, for raising your hand and coming in. Oh. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Hey, I agree 100%. I need to be able to be seen socially before 2020, so they know who I am. So I send out a small 1.5-minute, 2-minute video every week. And just before I got onto this call, I highlighted the story from Think and Grow Rich of 3 feet from gold. That we all need to just persevere, get that expert advice, and just don't give up, because gold is out there. And especially if we know it's there, we just got to go for it.
Love that, Dave. I hope you're going to participate in our referral magnet video contest right now, and do want to remind everybody on this call. I love what Bill Hillstead says. He says, great marketing is a team sport. So we've got a great community of some of the brightest minds in the mortgage industry. This Tuesday, we're going to be brainstorming with Robert Stover on headlines, angles, right hooks, jabs. And then May 1st, we're going to announce 2 winners of the referral magnet video contest. So David, I hope you submit a video, and everybody else on this call, let's get better together. So Todd, we got 3 minutes. I'll let you wrap it up. And David, keep sharing in the community, and thank you for raising your hand, my man.
Well, hang with us for a minute. I'd love to get your guys. Oh, thanks, David. I'd love to get your guys' survey at the end. We've had super high, like the highest percentage I've ever seen. We always lose a couple people towards the end of these calls. You guys are all still here, so thank you guys for being there. But would love any feedback that you guys have on it. We covered a ton today, right? The things that you hear us talk about a lot, right? Refer out our group. We need more people in it like you guys who are great. Number 2, continue to share in our group your success stories, because gosh, we've got some great ones this week that I think fuel the conversation even more. I'm super excited for the referral magnet contest that Dave is doing alongside of Bill Hillstead. So jump in, don't be scared, right? There's no time to start like now. And even if you don't share it with the community and you just send it to them and get their feedback, that's going to be totally worth your while. Scriptapalooza, right? Let's share that thing up. I think it's going to be amazing, but give us your feedback on it in some of our posts in the community on what scripts you want to have be covered, because in the end, that's how we're going to nail this thing. I've already got some awesome commitments from some of the speakers in there about their scripts, and I know that they've got the best scripts, some of them that you've heard and they've updated, and some of them you've never heard, so it's just going to be incredible. And just want to thank you, Dave. As always, you guys continue at Mortgage Coach to deliver great value to our community, and that's what we're all here for. So we wouldn't be a community without you and your leadership. Of course, thanks for Marcy for behind the scenes, and then you guys for all being here today, because in the end, you guys being here is what makes us have fun and why we do this. We do it for you.
All right, guys. So closing thought, just a reminder, every single day of the week, there is live training at Mortgage Coach. You can go to our website, go to the calendar page. Whether you're brand new to the community and you haven't created 20 TCAs yet, Monday will help you. I love our Thursday call, because it's like, the Apple Genius Bar for Mortgage Coach professionals. Anything you need help with, show up to our Thursday call. Everybody's questions get answered. We're here to serve. So Todd, thank you to you and your crew, and thank you to everybody that showed up. huge thank you to everybody that posted in the Facebook group and who submitted a question for today. And we'll see you next Friday, and hopefully we'll see some of you on Tuesday. Have an awesome weekend, everybody.
Awesome. Peace out.